how would you describe that ideal relationship with your CEO or CHRO? So, David, do you want to start since you were on that path? Mm-hmm.
Sure. Susan mentioned trust. Trust and respect, I would put as paramount attributes for an exceptional relationship. If you don't have that, it's really hard to move forward. I see in that relationship of the executive committee, the CEO's the team captain, if you will, and the other members are team members. But I believe in the team captain participant model. But the CHRO is a critical member of the team. The companies actually have, three sets of, three key components. You've got the human component, you've got the financial component, and then you've got the overall business component. And all those have to be managed well. So the CHRO is a critical team member. The third item I'd say is that the CHRO should have complementary strengths to the CEO. I've got major weaknesses in a lot of areas, and I've always looked to my HR leader to complement me exceptionally well in those areas of my weaknesses. And for that HR leader to be also willing to be aware of his or her weaknesses as well. So you have that complementary relationship. So those three things: trust and respect, be a critical team member that actually participates, and have complementary strengths that the CEO and CHRO can leverage and build off each other.
Okay, that's awesome. I love, obviously, the trust and respect. It's almost like you're, the person, your most trusted confidant, right?
Absolutely.
On the ELT team. I mean, beyond even probably the CFO, the CIO, it's the person that really has to be able to say to you, David, you don't have your pants on today. So
as I've told my actually anybody that works with me, but my HR leader, smack me upside the head, grab me by the shoulder, sit me down, and talk to me straight, because my CHRO has strengths that at a level that I can't even expect to achieve.
That's great. Thanks. How about you, Karen? When you were in that CHRO role?
I would build on and maybe build out this trust and respected. I think you have to be trusted as a CHRO to bring a broad business point of view to the problem. You're not there to be an employee advocate. You have to bring a shareholder, a consumer, a customer, and an employee point of view. You can't be one-dimensional, I think, or you lose that respect because you don't provide a full answer. I think the respected part runs to, are you listened to? Is the CEO really listening and taking your advice? So those are two things to watch for as you think about, I think, those two words. I'd add two other elements that were important to me. One is, I think the relationship between a CEO and a CHRO has to be business anchored, business issue anchored. It isn't just, let's connect on HR topics or people topics, because we all know that culture and development and engagement happen as people work through business problems. So you need a seat at the table, whether it's an acquisition or a budget issue. There are people and communication and organizational implications to all of that. And you have to be at the table, I think, to really provide that influence. And then lastly, I think you have to create a really safe space for the CEO. I mean, you have to recognize it is a hard job. It is a lonely job. You're expected to have the answers, be in charge all the time. The world is changing rapidly. And you have to remember that human is a human. And they need a space to say, I don't know. They need a space to say, this is so frustrating to me. Whether it's to vent, whether it's to just talk out loud. And when you get that relationship, the amount of influence you have then goes up exponentially, because you can reframe the issue, you can help them think through it, take the emotion out. I mean, one of the things I always had when I was a CHRO is access to the CEO calendar. So I could look ahead at their week and think, okay, right there, that's a critical conversation. I need to get ahead of that. Or I could say, okay, that's not for me, but I better follow up and circle back after that, because I want to make sure that the parties all came together in a productive way. So it's kind of that safe space and access seat at the table that really does, I think, take an average relationship to something extraordinary.
Yeah, I love that.